Okay, we're going to do part 4 of the video now, which is going to be the 5 o'clock turn. So, as we saw, Slocum had just arrived and Hancock here, and the Union forces had just retreated back to the town. And I think one brigade here, Stone, got caught. So we'll follow the action after I've moved the Union troops. 5 o'clock turn. Okay, this is the turn, 5 o'clock, just after the Union have moved. We've got the elements of Sickles' Corps now coming up the Gettysburg Road with one brigade of the 1st Corps. The 12th Corps is now up, defending Culp's Hill and portions of Cemetery Hill. We can take these move markers off now. And poor old Stone got caught here, so he's forced to do a 1-2 attack against O'Neill. Let's see how that goes. Okay, Stone buys some more time. He gets an A1 result. Oh, he was already flipped, so he's destroyed. That's not good for his side. That's a 3-point loss right there. Okay, so we'll do the Confederate turn for 5 p.m. Okay, this is just after the Confederates have moved for the 5 o'clock turn. We can take these route markers off now. The brigades have been sufficiently penalized and not moving. We can also take these move markers off. And as you can see, the Confederates were unable to close. The Union is retreating rapidly enough that they can probably make it to Cemetery Hill intact. Note Anderson's division has arrived. Now, historically, Anderson's division, bit of a mystery. We know that Anderson's division arrived immediately in the rear of the town of Gettysburg around this time, 4 o'clock and earlier. But Lee did not use him. He went into reserve. Now in the game, you will be able to activate Lane through the initiative system through Hill and Lee. That's something we leave open in a game. But historically, he was not used on the first day. It makes us wonder what would have happened had he been used. So that's the end of the 5 o'clock turn. As I mentioned, part of Sickles is now coming up the Gettysburg Road. And no combat this turn. So we're going to move to the 6 p.m. turn, which will be the last turn before 2 turns of dusk, and then the night turn. Now, the original game did not have these dusk turns, but I decided to add them because they add to the game. In the dusk turns, the only thing you can't do is use long-range artillery, which I think is fair enough. So the game, for all practical purposes, the day goes up till about 8 o'clock, then we go into a night turn. So we have 3 turns left to simulate in this little demo. Okay, this is the situation after the Union have moved for the 6 p.m. turn. And we can get in a little bit closer now because things have tightened up. You can see that the Union right flank is firmly anchored now in Culp's Hill with part of the 12th Corps, and their extreme left is now elements of Sickles, which is just deployed. So they got a pretty good line there. Now, the Confederates are faced with a dilemma because they're going to have about 3 turns of daylight left, 2 of them without artillery support long range. So we'll move the Confederates to see what they can do. And this is kind of what faced Lee late afternoon of July 1st. The Union had retreated in some kind of disorder, but were getting their act together on Cemetery Hill. And he had a lot of depleted and tired units. Now for game purposes, I will look at the situation, see if I can make any headway. And if I can, we'll do a couple of 1-to-1s, maybe 2-to-1s, and see if we can hit the Union line. So let's catch the video after we've moved the Confederates. Of course, we still have to roll for initiative for Hill and Ewell, but they probably will get attack orders. Let's do Hill first. Hill, adding 3, he gets attack orders, and Ewell, rolling 2, he also gets attack orders. So let's move the Confederates and see what they can do. Okay, this is after the Confederates have moved, and we've got some attacks going in. Now, Anderson moved up, and he's more or less kind of in line of battle just behind the town. Elements of Pender and Heath are doing attacks against Wainwright and Cutler Osborne and Von Gilsa, Krzyzewski and Schimmelpfennig are all the subject of attacks. Now, they're not the greatest attacks. Some of them are 1-1, 3-2. Pogue was able to lend some long-range fire to this battle. We do have a long-range fire in this game in my modifications, up to 8 hexes. Now, granted, he's not adding much, only 1 factor, and Pegram also. But it could make the difference. So we'll go down the line, do these attacks. Like I said, they're about 1-1, 3-2, and could be critical. Now, if the Confederates got really good luck and won every battle, let's say, and pushed the Union back, that could be decisive. If they're repulsed, well, that's probably it for the evening, although we do have Anderson's fresh division. So these attacks will determine how the rest of the day goes. Let's see how they go. Okay, this is the result after the attacks. Well, Pettigrew and Scales got a mangling repulse from Wainwright and Cutler. They took losses and had to retreat. Fortunately, they didn't rout because their morale was pretty good. Against Osborne, this brigade was routed. That's Lane. But at the same time, he routed Von Gilsa. But Osborne's artillery was able to hold ground. And over here, Krzyzewski managed to damage O'Neill and rout him. And Hoke and Smith attacking Schimmelpfennig on this little wee knoll here. I forget the name of that knoll. Anyway, they lost a step. So overall, the Union position held for 6 o'clock. So we'll do the 7 p.m. turn, which will be dusk. The Union doesn't have much to decide on. They're holding their ground, and they actually could counterattack Hoke and Smith there if they wish. They want to maintain their ground. Let's look at the Union decision tree and see where it goes. Okay, this is after the Union have moved, but prior to the combats. Now, Slocum and Howard were lucky in that they both got attack orders, and they kind of like this ground. They're on high ground opposite these Confederates, so rather than just retreat, they decided to counterattack. So Ruger is going to be attacking Gordon. McDougall and Schimmelpfennig will take on Hoke. Krzyzewski will take on Smith, and the 11th Corps will try to smash Daniel away. And Wainwright didn't move. He could actually get a 1-to-1 shot against one of these guys. Doesn't matter much. This route marker will come off now, and we'll do the Union attacks. It actually looks pretty good for them. They should be able to repulse the Confederates with ease. But the die is very fickle. Let's see what happens. Okay, those Union counterattacks went very well. For the first time, they've actually destroyed 2 Confederate brigades. Gordon and Smith were taken out of action. Hoke over here was reduced, and they reduced Daniel. So the counterattacks were very successful. We'll now look at the Confederate options, but my gut feeling is I'm not so sure if they should attack. They're in pretty rough condition. Let me look at the situation. Now, an aggressive player would, it's a war game. Cardboard pieces, away you go, just attack. But I don't always look at that way with these games. I try to play a little historical. These kind of losses, I don't know. But we'll take a look. Maybe Anderson can do some kind of counterattack. I'll look at the options, and then we'll follow the action after the Confederates have moved. Remember, though, it is dusk, and there could be no long-range artillery. So these batteries that are so carefully placed on Seminary Ridge will mean nothing in the attack. And you've got some pretty good defensive positions here. Artillery stacked with infantry. Pretty nice positions. But let's take a look at the Confederate options. Okay, I've decided that the Confederates are just too smashed up to make any attempt against this Union line now. That's too strong. So Pender and Heath have retired here to Seminary Ridge, and Ewell's Corps is strung out through the town. Now, that is the 6 o'clock turn, or rather the 7 o'clock turn, and means there's another turn of dusk, then night. Both sides probably will do nothing for this turn, but I'll look at the points, see what the point score is, and make decisions from there. Wow, well here's a surprise. I just added up all the points, and each side has exactly 20 points, which surprises even me. I knew the Union would catch up for sure after that last set of attacks. So let's do an overview, because I think for the next 8 p.m. turn, there will certainly be no attacks. There'll just be cosmetic moving of some of the troops to improve their position. There's no way Confederates are going to attack now. They're going to have to wait till more forces come up. And they have too many damaged units. Now, like the original game, when a unit is shattered, turned over, it cannot attack for one whole day. Since this is July 1st, any shattered unit cannot attack. So these units will only be able to attack on July 2nd. So by just force of fatigue, the Confederates almost have to stop. So I'll end the video there with the dusk turn, with each side being 20 points. And let's get an overview of the map. Okay, there's the positions at dusk of July 1st. You can see the Confederates more or less have their line through the town of Gettysburg and to the right. Now, I have yet to bring on Johnson's division of the Confederates. They come on from the Gettysburg Road and would be merely in the rear here, probably about this position, perhaps here. Johnson won't make any difference at this point. But I'll move him on, of course, and that's kind of the summary. The Confederates have done as well geographically as they did in real life. They've got the same ground that Lee took, but they have not inflicted the losses that Lee did on the Army of the Potomac. So they're behind in points in that sense. So it's looking good for the Union right now. And as I've always said, if the Unions don't really, the Confederates, if they don't really make hay on the first day of Gettysburg, really damage the Union Army, there's little likelihood they will win the Battle of Gettysburg. But I'm enjoying this video so much, and even I want to see what happens. I certainly want to explore what happens on the morning of July 2nd, when Hood, McLaws, and very later in the afternoon, Pickett arrives. But we have to remember, too, that during the night, the Union is going to get the 2nd Corps coming on, the 5th Corps, and late afternoon, the 6th Corps. So Meade, as long as he just sticks to his defense, will probably win this game. But I'll at least carry the video to the morning of July 2nd. So I'll do the turn, the 8 p.m. turn of dusk, get Johnson on the board, adjust the markers for night, and that will end the video. So we'll end this part. So the next part of the video that you'll see will be the morning of July 2nd. Thank you for watching.